Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be doing a complete makeover of our landscape. We've been wanting to do this project for years now, but of course we are not professionals at all, so we had no idea even where to begin. So we wanted to be sure we did all of the research necessary to be sure we knew all of the steps we needed to take and the plants that can be used in our zone. We did do all of this remodeling a year ago on the garden. I wanted to be able to show you guys a 1-year progress of how the plants grew and filled in and the maintenance steps that we needed to take. So if you are doing this yourself, I definitely recommend researching your area to see what zone you live in and what types of plants that you can use in your landscape. Before deciding to take on this project ourselves, we did get a few quotes from different landscape companies to see about how much it would cost to have someone else do it, because like I mentioned, we knew absolutely nothing about landscaping when starting this. When we saw the quotes, we were shocked by the prices and knew that we would be able to do it ourselves for a lot less, and it ended up being 3 times less than the quotes that were given to us. So it's definitely the way to go. So the front part of our house is just completely filled with old plants, weeds, and just completely outgrown plants in general, because like I said, it's been a few years that we've been wanting to do this. We also want to add some landscape to the side of the house. Right now it is bare, so we are going to be taking up some of the grass to add another garden bed to the side of the house as well. So I will be going through every single step that we went through to completely redo our garden. And because the side garden was completely bare, we did have to basically form our garden. So we did rent some equipment in order to do this. So not only was this super inexpensive because we didn't have to purchase any of the equipment, but it also does help out with the physical labor. Because you will be doing a lot of digging and planting, we wanted to save a lot of our physical energy for those steps. So I'm not going to lie and sit here and say this was easy work. It definitely was a lot of hard work, but it's definitely doable. So if you do want to just set aside a few weeks and maybe do it little by little each day, this would be a lot easier. The way we did it was over the course of 2 weekends. So the first weekend we kind of removed and got everything prepped, and then the second weekend we planted everything and then just finished all the final touches. I will have everything listed down below in the description of the equipment, the tools, the plants. Every single thing I mentioned in this video will be listed down there. Today's video is sponsored by Backyard Expressions, and this is an Amazon shop that carries products for all of your backyard needs. So what I got was their hammock, which I absolutely love because not only do I love to lay in a hammock and enjoy my garden once it's finished, but also I love this one because it comes with a stand, so you don't have to find 2 trees to hang it from. You can just set it up wherever you would like. So if you are interested in checking them out, their link is listed down below in the description. And I just wanted to quickly mention that I was at Dollar Tree the other day and I was surprised by all of the gardening stuff that they carry, so I highly recommend checking them out if you do have a Dollar Tree in your area. So now that I've mentioned all of that, we're gonna jump right into the video. Here's how the front garden looks before. As you can see, everything is just an overgrown mess, and then the side of the house is just completely bare. So we do want to continue the garden onto the side so that it all just looks uniform and it just flows. So we first rented the equipment that we needed to begin the garden. So the first thing we started with was the sod cutter, and we used this to remove all of the grass to begin our layout for our garden on the side. This tool basically just cuts right underneath your grass, and then you're able to roll it up, and what we did was recycle it. We gave it to a friend who needed it for the front of their lawn. We then had rented a tiller as well, and we began tilling all of the pre-existing dirt. And basically this is going to break up the roots that you may have in the ground as well as all of the dirt. Because the dirt is super compact, it would be really hard to go in with a handheld tiller and sit there and till the garden until it's deep enough for where your plants are going to be planted. So I would highly recommend renting one of these tillers because this made life so much easier. All you do is basically push it like a lawnmower, and it's going to do all of the tilling work for you and get it ready for your new plants. We also used the tiller to shape the lines of the garden. I didn't want the garden to be straight, perfect lines. I did want a little bit of a curve in the beds. We did use the tiller to make those curves as well. Once we finished getting the side ready, we went ahead and started pulling all of the old plants that were in the front. I hated all of these plants, and I was so sick of looking at all of them, so to be able to go in and just rip them out the ground was so beyond satisfying. But when you do this step, you want to be sure that you are pulling from from the roots. If you just pull the top of the plant off and you leave the root, then this basically is just pruning your plants, which means it's going to grow even bigger and larger than it was before. So if you do need to use a shovel or a garden fork, this will help to really pull at the root. We did have 2 trees in the front of our house that unfortunately we did have to remove. They were rotted and disease ridden, and they were starting to tilt towards the house, so we didn't want to wait for them to fall onto our house, so we did have to remove them. The way we did this was we did rent a tool in order to cut down the tree. Once we cut it down to a stump, drill holes directly into the stump with a large drill bit. This way, when you add your stump remover, it does get super deep into the stump all the way down to the bottom as far as it can. You just let that sit and it will eventually kill the stump. But you can also rent a stump grinder and physically grind out the stump and get rid of it if you didn't want it there at all. But what we did was we just got some potted plants to cover up the stumps until they died down, and then once they are completely gone, we are going to take the plants out of the pots and then plant them directly into the ground where the tree was. And the plant that we have in the pots is called an agave plant, and I absolutely love these because I feel like since they are spiky that they give off a really edgy feel to the garden. So now that our garden is completely bare and ready for the plants, we did go ahead and line the entire garden with some bricks. This is just going to give your garden a really clean finish. It's also going to give a barrier to your garden. That way the mulch won't fall down into your front lawn. We then filled all of the garden beds with some compost. You can also use soil, anything that you would like to start off your garden to kind of raise it up a little bit, since like I mentioned, we added those bricks which were pretty thick. We did have to fill that space, so you don't want to fill it all the way to the top of the bricks because we will be adding the plants and then some mulch on top of the soil, so be sure you are leaving room for that. So now for the fun part, we're going to start placing all of our plants. We started with these larger bushes, which we are going to have in the back row, which is going to eventually grow all together and kind of make a back border to our garden. I then began alternating the lavender and white pentas in the front. I absolutely love the smell of lavender, and then the pentas do attract butterflies, so I did have to incorporate some type of butterfly flower to the garden. For the corner, we did add a Meyer lemon tree. We love lemons and have always wanted some type of citrus tree, so of course we went with a lemon tree. Right behind the lemon tree, we have 2 Limelight Hydrangeas, and these are going to be white hydrangeas, which I absolutely love. And now that we have grown so many hydrangeas since we've started the garden, I always pick them and bring them inside to put into a vase, and I swear they last up to about 2 weeks, so I love being able to bring some of my garden inside and have beautiful fresh flowers. In between the windows on the side of our house, we added some jasmine vines, which I absolutely love. Not only the aesthetic of these once they do grow and fill in, but it also smells amazing once it starts blooming, and it also just adds a little extra privacy to the side of the house. For the front walkway on either side, we do have a cone holly right in the center, and then we have drift roses in a semicircle right in front of that. Once these rose bushes grow, they will all grow into a nice seamless piece to where it all looks like one big bush. So those are all of the plants that we chose for the garden, and once you have planted all of them, you want to be sure you're giving them a really good water for the entire first week. Not only is this really good for your plants, but this is also going to help the plants settle into the ground. So once you've added your mulch right on top, you are finished with the entire installation of your garden. And we also added some irrigation into the garden. This is optional, but this does help with hotter climate. We live in the south and it gets extremely hot here, so we wanted to have some type of irrigation in case we do forget to water them. So this is the setup that we used. We got it right from Home Depot, and it was the most inexpensive way to go. We have it on a timer on our hose, so it does go off at a certain time every single day. Because this irrigation system only waters the bottom of the plants and the roots, you do want to be sure you are still getting out there at least once a week and water the plants so that the leaves do get the water and they don't get overheated or burnt from the sun. So here's a little 4-month update from when we planted them. It is Halloween time, so please excuse my decorations, but this is how they have grown in the first 4 months. They have grown a lot since we did plant them. Jasmine does tend to grow super quick, so you do want to be sure you are getting out there and redirecting the vines. We like to do this at least once a month, because if you don't, then sometimes the vines will start to grow into other plants or in other areas that you may not want them. Garden kitty. Here's an update 7 months later. It is now springtime and it is almost 1 year since we planted the entire garden. And because it is springtime, everything is growing nice and beautifully. So we do need to get in there and do a little bit of maintenance. So I am going to trim the lavender bushes. Here's our 1 year update since we planted the garden. We also added fresh mulch. We do trim about once every 6 months. We're about to do some weeding and trimming these bushes. We got an electric trimmer finally, so we're about to get this done. Look at this cone plant though. It's growing crazy. We have all of these weeds. Our lavender bushes have gotten huge. All of this is weeds. And then all of this is new growth. As you can see, they're really bright green. We have a jasper coming. We have an ant pile, weeds. Look at this lavender. This one's huge. Here's our hydrangea, which was blooming last summer and then it died over the winter and now it's growing back. Our jasmine vine is growing so good, but it's getting a little crazy, so we have to kind of twist it all together so that it doesn't start coming out like this, because then it'll stick onto another plant like it did here. But look at these bushes. They're starting to grow together. It looks so bad. Look at those
I've been
muscles.
out here for like 10 minutes.
It's 110 degrees, feels like. Before and after. You can finally see our lemon tree again. It was covered by lavender. Here's how it ended up coming out. So much better. My camera overheated, so we could not show y'all the whole process, but it came out amazing. Look how red I am. And now that I'm sweating the most I ever have in my entire life, I'm gonna do the best thing to do when you are sweating this much. We're looking for some outdoor lights to put into the garden to light it up because it's pretty dark at night. We're thinking of doing recessed lights where they're like up into the ceiling, right?
Yeah, the overhang of the house. They don't even have what I was...
Look at this, it hangs off the gutter. So cool, look at this, that's so easy. And they're solar powered. Y'all, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. So I think we may go with a hardwired recessed light because that way it'll just last longer. This is a great option for anyone out there who may be looking for something like this. Like I mentioned, all links for everything that I mentioned in this video will be listed down below in the description. So I would love to hear from you guys on what your favorite plants are, so definitely leave that down below in the comment section, as well as any information or tips that you may have, because like I mentioned, I am not a professional at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.